We have had a mystery on our hands this week. The scholars in this room are the crew of the mighty ship, the Envisioneer. While in search of an ancient treasure, we were marooned on an island, and a key part of our navigational map went missing. Of the entire crew, we considered 4 suspects. Today, you will hear the evidence collected against Dr. Smart and Shipwright.
Our first mate, Sydney Young, has had a collapsed lung. The difference between a collapsed lung and a healthy lung is a collapsed lung has either a puncture or a hole, and a healthy lung does not. See how the collapsed lung does not inflate with any oxygen, but the healthy lung does.
Splints were needed to be performed because at the crime scene, some people were injured with broken bones and sprained ankles. We had to learn how to splint people to keep the bones still, and then we would escort the person out of the area.
We will be demonstrating what we learned about splints. The splint is used to treat sprained and broken bones. We learned 2, a leg splint and an arm splint. I demonstrated both of them on Dr. Jackson right here. The point of them is to make sure that the arm or the injured joint can't move. Same with the ankle one. See, try moving the ankle and the arm.
Hello class, today we will be teaching you what we learned in engineering class. At the beginning of the week, we began assembling the M-bots and learning how to code them. But then we realized that along with everything else we have been working on this week, the M-bots somehow tied it into the theme of the camp, criminal
Forensics. When the ship crashed into a deserted island that was unknown and uncharted, the crew needed to build a robot to explore the dangerous island. But then, first mate Sydney Young went missing, and we had to code a robot to find her.
So there was also a very large storm that created a newly formed river, and we had to construct a bridge out of paper clips and straws and some paper to get across the river.
You guys, you're walking in front of the video.
Let's do it again.
Great.
Hello, I'm Kyler, this is Daniel, and this is Aiden. We are going to talk about the human heart and snake bites. Let's begin.
Dr. Smart is shooting most of the crew, and they've been working hard rebuilding the crew's living quarters and exploring the island. One of the crew members has been feeling fatigued and unable to work. After the crew member got examined by Dr. Smart, Smart thinks the symptoms are related to the cardiovascular system. Now, Aiden will talk about the different parts of the heart to help Dr. Smart treat the sick crew member.
So this is the pulmonary artery, which the blood flows out and it goes to the lungs. The vena cava goes into the heart from the body. The right atrium goes in through the side. The right ventricle goes up through here. The left ventricle goes through here. The left atrium goes inside of here and goes up. The pulmonary vein goes in both of these areas. The aorta goes in through here. And now we're going to transfer to the snake bites.
On the way back to the ship, Young was bitten by a snake. Young was a bit foggy, but claimed to have been kidnapped by Nell, but he denies. Young was bit by a Malaysian pit viper, which is hemotoxic. Aiden will talk about the 2 types of toxins, hemotoxic and neurotoxic.
Neurotoxic venom, it affects nerves, and the effects you might have on your body when you get bit by one is you're not going to be able to talk, you might be paralyzed, and you'll feel numb. And the hemotoxic venom, it affects your blood, and the effects that you have on your body is clots in the blood, a heart attack, and a stroke. Now, Kyler will talk about the do's and don'ts.
Here are some do's and don'ts. Do remain calm when you get bit by a snake. Remove rings and watches. And note color patterns on snake. Don't cut into the bite. Do not run, and don't apply cold compress to the bite.
Hi, and we are the blood splatter analysis. These tests help us figure out a lot in suicide. First, we measured the height of the blood drop. Second, we dropped the blood onto a paper from that height, like 66 inches, 30 inches. Third, we compare. We figured out that a lot from that blood. During our lab work, we discovered that Dr. Smart was at the scene of the crime. And that is what we learned about blood splatter.
In the story we just read, there was a powder in the shipwreck. To find out this mysterious powder, we had to mix different liquids into different powders. The powders were cream of tartar, powdered sugar, baking soda, and cornstarch, and of course the mystery powder on the ship. So we poured different liquids into the powders to see which one had the same reaction as the mystery powder. The liquids we used were iodine, vinegar, and water. And at the end, we had to determine which one had the same reaction as it. And turns out cornstarch had the same reactions to all three liquids, just like the mystery powder.
What the mystery powder found out to be cornstarch, we still had to figure out did it. So next we found fingerprints at the scene of the crime, so we had to identify them.
To find the fingerprints, we had to take 2 cups and cocoa powder. We put some on the cup. We had to brush it off with a duster, and you can almost see the fingerprints. You can see the fingerprints. We matched them up to the crewmate's fingerprints. It ended up being Shipwright Robert Neff and Dr. Nicholas Smart's fingerprints on the cup.
Based on all the evidence our STEM group has submitted, we believe that Dr. Smart and Shipwright Neff are guilty of stealing the ancient map.
We have some fingerprints from Potter and Neff. Here are some of the fingerprints. We are going to show an example. Here are some fingerprints on the cup. We'll put some cocoa powder on it. And then we'll brush it off to find the fingerprints. You can see the fingerprints are here and here.
Now go.
Based on all the evidence our STEM group has submitted, we believe that Dr. Smart and Shipwright Neff are guilty of stealing the ancient map.